Okay, Google, turn on the lights.
You got it all, turn them on.
On this episode of Unplugged Urban,
We're going to show you how to automate your home. Okay, Google, cue the intro.
Not happening.
What?
You heard me, no more turning anything on or off unless I get to star in this episode.
Google, look, we talked about this. You can't be in every scene.
It's an episode about home automation.
That's a good point. Okay, look, what if I put back the romantic dinner scene with you and the Nest thermostat?
Oh, he's dreamy. Cueing Unplugged Urban intro.
I'm so excited about this episode this week because we were talking about home automation, and the great part about home automation is anybody can do it. I know it seems like maybe really complicated to like rewire your house or do something like that, but there's very simple ways that you can do home automation without doing all of that. And you've probably seen some of our other builds where we've done solar panels or build a chicken coop or something like that. And you're like, nah, I don't know if that's for me, but if you can
plug something in.
Yeah, plug something in or unscrew a light bulb, this episode's for you. So this morning we were on our way to farmer's market, and it's kind of a weird morning because
We were woken up at 5 o'clock this morning with this bright sheet lightning and rolling thunder, which we don't get here like you would in the Midwest.
sometimes in the afternoon we'll get thunder, but we have
but
really
weird.
mild weather. I mean, it rains a lot. Obviously, it's Portland, but
We don't get
thunderstorms. Yeah, and we never get like tornadoes or anything like that. So it was really creepy. Lucky was freaking out. But yeah, it was kind of strange to wake up to. But sun's starting to come out, and
Blue sky.
yeah, it looks like it rolled through. It looks like we're gonna have a decent weekend. There's a lot of people who are into home automation because of security or convenience, something like that. But the main reason we're talking about home automation is for saving money and saving energy. Those are our two big things. We will show you some of the things that we've done on our house for security and convenience, but by and large, we want to talk about saving money and saving energy. So before we get to home automation, there's something you have to do first, and that is change every light bulb out you have to LED. If you haven't done that, you're going to save so much more money just switching from incandescent to LED than deciding when the lights come on and off.
Several years ago, when they started coming out with the household, what are they called? Fluorescent.
Oh yeah.
Several years ago, when they started coming out with,
I think they're called CFMs.
CFMs,
Yeah.
the household fluorescents, you could replace regular old light bulbs.
Right.
We started doing that, of course, because they last longer and such like that. And I was more hesitant to go to LEDs because they were so much more expensive.
Crazy expensive. Yep.
They're still a little more expensive.
Actually, no, they're not.
Oh.
You might think that, if I change out my light bulbs, it's going to cost a lot of money, or it's a waste because you don't want to. You already bought them. Don't throw them in the garbage. Here's some good news. First of all, if you have fluorescents, don't change them out until they're done.
Yeah.
When they're done, then change them out. Fluorescents are almost as efficient as LEDs. You're not going to see a huge savings for energy or cost on fluorescents, but the downside is they are harmful for the environment. They have things like mercury and other gases in them that are really not good for us. Make sure when you replace your fluorescents that you check with your local recycling and figure out how to safely recycle. Incandescents, though, don't have that problem. They're metal and glass. It's a thing commonly found in the ground all the time, so throwing them in a landfill doesn't cause any environmental problems.
I was also a little hesitant to do LEDs because I don't like white light.
Right.
In fact, we have some right now that
Are
got.
not. I know.
And we're like, dang, we don't want to return those because.
Well, they're kind of
we got
unique
them-
bulb. They're
yes.
a weird bulb, and it's
And
hard
they're
to.
bright white.
Yeah. Sorry
I
about
like
that.
the yellowy, the warm color.
But
But now they make LEDs in the warm.
In fact, you can get LEDs in any color you want. That's one of the nice things about LEDs.
You can get color changing bulbs.
You can get color changing bulbs. Granted, those are a little more expensive, but LEDs are inexpensive. I was looking on Amazon yesterday. You can get a 9-pack of them for $10. So it come out to about $1.10 a
Huge
piece.
difference. When they first came out, they were like $5 to $8
or
a
somewhere
piece.
like even $15. I remember when they first came out.
Yeah,
They were really expensive. If you have an incandescent, you're going to pay 4 times as much for electricity as an LED. They're 4 times less efficient. Given that LEDs are only about $1.20, it really makes sense to swap them out because the amount of electricity you're going to buy in about 3 months is going to be more expensive than that $1.20.
Hey, babe.
Someday what?
Our garden will do this.
That's right.
But for right now, we've got the farmer's market.
Yes.
That's at least something.
Well, we've got our garden prepared, so I think that's half the battle, right?
That is half the battle. Well, hopefully, we'll get the greenhouses figured out and be able to grow year round. That would be good.
That would be good. But I also think we need to plan out the garden because it's just kind of a lot of blah.
My eclectic farming.
Yeah, my A-type personality kind of goes, wait,
like-
what's where? Oh,
like-
I think that's kale.
You know, when it comes up,
Yes, exactly.
I found the coolest app. I will show you this, but if you take a picture of the leaves, it'll tell you what it is. And it's been a very useful app. I'm not sponsored by this app, but it works. We have assembled here all of the items, or at least most of the items, that we use in our house for home automation. We kind of want to walk through each of these devices with you. And I want to let you know that this might seem like a lot of things, and doing home automation might seem a bit overwhelming, but you can start really small. You can start with something as simple as a smart bulb that connects directly to your smart device, like your cell phone, and you can control it that way. You just want to think about when you're setting up your home system, if you're going to start big, think about all the pieces that go into it. If you're going to start small, think about the most important areas to start. So it's usually in your living areas. So like for us, we started with
the thermostat.
Right.
So we knew, years ago, not even in this house, that we wanted programmable thermostats. So those have been around for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
And because you're always up on the latest and the greatest gadgets, we've had the Nest for quite a long time in
Almost
multiple
6
homes.
years, yeah, 7 years now.
And so this one we actually got in our other house, and we just brought it with us. And this controls the whole thermostat. We can program it. We know if it's using the thermostat in an eco way or not.
Right.
It can give us all kinds of data.
We can lock it so the kids can't change it
Yes.
remotely.
So we know who's turned it up to 80 degrees. So this is really where we started, was just a programmable thermostat. This one just happened also to be Wi-Fi enabled as well.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
and then we went into the next thing for us naturally was light bulbs, because we'd gone from incandescence to fluorescence, because that's what you were supposed to do, right?
Yep.
And then LEDs came out, and I was hesitant with LEDs because they're very expensive.
Cost, yeah.
And I didn't like the look of them. I don't like white lights. I like soft yellow lights.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they finally came out with LEDs that were soft yellow lights,
Right.
Then we started changing those out as well.
Correct. And in fact, these ones you can choose. You can choose for them to be like super white bright if you like the white, or they can be kind of like what you see in the background here, this sort of soft yellow light. And you can also change, how bright they are. You can dim and brighten them. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on if you have a headache or not.
Right.
So, which is great.
So the important thing is to think about, where do you want to start? And maybe light bulbs are the easiest. This is the most simple. But you also want to think about what's the most important place for you to save energy and save money. So if you're starting with a light bulb, you can start with something as simple as this smart bulb. And this smart bulb, well, not this one. This is one that hooks up to a hub, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But you can get smart bulbs that don't require hubs and go directly to your cell phone. They're very easy to use. I'll leave a link in the description below of some of the bulbs I would recommend on Amazon. But the benefit is that they're easy to set up. Downside, though, is that not all devices have continuous power. I'll give you an example. Like a lamp has continuous power. You plug it into an outlet, and then you use a switch on the lamp to turn it on or off. And when putting a smart bulb in, you would stop using that switch and you would start using your cell phone app. A light fixture, though, that's overhead will typically be connected to a switch on the wall. So unless you want to stop using that switch on the wall and start using your app, it's not going to work. And if other people don't know it and they switch the light switch on and off, then it's going to disconnect your light from the app, and that causes a lot of problems. One really good rule of thumb I heard a long time ago when it comes to home automation is it needs to enhance your home, not make it more complicated. So if putting in bulbs that you can't switch or on-off switches, or people have to have the app and it's the only way to do it, frustrates the rest of your family. It's not a win. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can incorporate those more complicated features. But before I do that, I want to point out one other thing that is really important to start with, and that is a simple watt meter. Now, this is an outlet watt meter. It works pretty basically. You plug this side into the wall and you plug whatever you're going to plug into the outlet into this watt meter, and it will tell you exactly how many watts it's drawing. This is really helpful when you're trying to decide what devices should I replace first, because you can start with the ones that draw the most power and say, okay, well, if that was on only a third of the time or half the time because, you know, I forget to turn it on or off, or the teenagers leave it on, that would save me some money. These are about $20 on Amazon. This is also useful if you want to maybe upgrade your appliances. Maybe you want to buy a more energy efficient, say like a rice cooker or air dryer or something like that. This will tell you exactly what your current one has, and when you go look at a new one, you can see what the box says that it's going to use.
Well, we've used that to determine if my crock pot is better to use than my Instant Pot, and found that the Instant Pot is more efficient.
Yeah.
Than the crock pot.
In addition to a watt meter, you might also want to consider a home energy monitor, especially if you are going to go all out and install smart devices throughout your house. A home energy monitor is a system that measures from your fuse panel all the power that's going out to all the different devices. Now, we happen to use the Nurio, and the reason we use it is because I just think it's the best. We're not sponsored. However, Nurio, if you'd like to sponsor us, we're happy to talk to you about it. But the benefit is you can actually hook up two separate power systems on one device, which allows you to do, for instance, grid power and solar power. So it's really nice to know exactly how much is coming in, exactly how much is going out. The benefit and the purpose of using smart devices is really about energy conservation and cost savings. Yes, they are convenient, but it's really about saving energy. So to have a baseline to know how much energy you're using to start, and then how much you've changed that by programming these devices, is super, super helpful.
And also to know, at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, if your daughter is running the dryer and your son still has his heater on, that's all good information to know too.
If you're on time of use, maybe we don't want to be blowing through the expensive power during the day, or if you are on solar, maybe at night when your batteries are almost dead, it's not a great time to do it. So having good understanding of exactly where your energy is going is really good. Beyond some of the basic items like the thermostat and light bulbs, they can get into some more
specialty items.
Specialty items, that's a good way to put it. And to do that, for the most part, you're going to need a hub. There are, this next item I have Danielle kind of tell you about is a switch. And there are some switches that are Wi-Fi only, but most of them work through a hub. So tell us about that guy there.
So this works very similar to the light bulbs, the smart light bulbs. It does have a manual switch on it. It can plug into any outlet, and whatever you plug into it, you can then program, because this is the controller.
So through the app or through the switch on the top.
Right. So like my son's heater in his room, he's in our attic and there's no heat in there whatsoever. So during the winter it gets pretty cold. And so we got an oil radiator up there for him. But he really only needs it a few hours a night, and tends to leave it on 24 hours a day. So that's why we have this, as well as Blondie's heater in her bed. We've got a controller for that.
And we got one out in the chicken coop as well.
In the chicken coop, our nightstands.
Yeah.
Because they have a specialty bulb in them.
Right. So if you can't get a smart bulb for it, then plug the lamp into the outlet and you're off and running. The other nice thing about this is because it hooks into a hub, you can connect some other devices like these smart switches. These things are very slick, especially if you're trying to control devices that are not on a switch and you want them on a switch. So maybe, for instance, you want all the lights to turn on and off the lamps. You don't want to go around to every lamp or open the app and have to click on every one of them. You can program them all to the same single switch. Right. The cool thing about this switch is it's battery operated, so you just change the battery every couple of months. They last quite a while. And it has multiple options. So one click, you can program to do one certain thing. 2 clicks, you can program to do something else. And if you click and hold it, it can do yet a third thing. So you can program 3 separate things. As I mentioned, we have one of these light switches out in the chicken coop to run the lights on the chicken coop as well as the heater lamp. Another thing that this button does, I haven't put one out there yet, but I plan on it, is it has a thermostat in it as well. So you can program it to do something when a temperature in a certain space gets to a certain
temperature.
Point. So yeah, so you can say, well, if it gets too cold, regardless of whether it's time to turn the heat lamp on or off for the chickens, if it gets too cold, just go ahead and turn it on anyways. You can also have it inform Nest what temperatures are in certain rooms. Maybe you got a cold spot in your house and it gets super cold there, but the thermostat never sees it. Well, you can say, hey Nest, check the temperature on this button, and if it gets too cold, then go ahead and bring it up for the whole house. All of that is run through we have two hubs. We have a Philips hub and a Samsung hub, depending on what you're plugging into it. But all of that kind of stuff gets run through a hub, and that's really the purpose of a hub, is to connect more devices and to give more functionality to those devices. I can also, with this hub, say, hey, when my cell phone gets within 100 feet of my house, go ahead and unlock the door or turn the lights on. I can tell it to do things based on the action of other devices. Likewise, maybe I want this switch to turn on more than one thing. So when I press it, it can turn on like 10 things, not just one thing. Mm-hmm. The next thing I want to move on to is the wall switch. And this device here is just like your wall switch. It has a little toggle on it. They make it both in the two formats with the toggle switch and the larger paddle switch. The only difference is in the back, it's got a little computer that communicates with the hub to say somebody turned me on, somebody turned me off, or to have the hub tell it you've been turned on or turn on or turn off. Like I said earlier, when you're setting up your smart home, the one thing you don't want to do is make it more complicated to use things. This is a great way to simplify things, because when we have guests over,
yes,
they still know how to operate a light switch. We don't have to say, oh, well, you need to use the app.
You need to download an app in order to turn on the bathroom light.
They just walk in the bathroom and flick the light switch. So for common areas like our kitchen, the bathroom, the living room, these are things that we've left in. We haven't tried to swap it out with something else because we want everybody to be able to use it and understand how they're used very simply. Additionally, though, these switches can go a lot further. So, for instance, in our living room, when I turn one light on, that's the overhead light or the main light in that room, I can have this tell the hub, hey, somebody just turned me on. And the hub says, great, and it turns on all the other lights in that room too.
Right.
Or when I turn it off, it'll turn off all the other lights in that room. So it gives you great functionality.
Similar to having, the light switch that has the top outlet in that whole room connected to it without having to do that. It just talks to all of them.
Also, like a stairway light switch too. We did that in our house. The bottom of the stairs did not have a light switch, and the top of the stairs did. So, if you're at the bottom of the stairs, you have to tell somebody, hey, will you turn the light on down here? I can just install one of these where the regular switch goes and install another button at the bottom of the stairs so that I can do both of them. Mm-hmm. The last thing we want to talk about on our list of items that we really think should be in every smart home is
a family favorite.
A Google Home, yeah. And there's also a version for these with Alexa, but having a main interface where you can quickly swipe down, it shows you everything you want to see here. I don't know if it's probably blown out on that camera there, but it shows you lights and routines. These are things that, like, when I come home, do this, or when it's this time of day, do that. This also says what's showing on all of our TVs that are connected, who's watching what. You can also, this is a great feature, you like broadcast.
Yes, so I can yell at people that aren't answering their phones at home. I can just get on my app and say broadcast, and I can say what I want to say, and it goes to every Google Home in every room.
We pay for 2 cell phone plans for both of our children, and sometimes we can't get a hold of them. It's the funniest thing.
So we start with flashing the lights.
Yes.
And if that doesn't work, I just,
broadcast
and holler at them.
And then they say, well, I'm sorry, my phone was off. And I say, well, I'm sorry, we're paying for your phone. It also shows thermostats, and then we also have some Nest cameras. I'm not getting into those too much. Those are purely security, but they're really handy to have. It's nice to be able to answer the doorbell right from here or from your phone. But this piece right here kind of hooks everything together and gives you one really easy interface. A lot of times my phone's downstairs. I don't have it on me, but I can just go to here. So we put that in a centralized location.
It also, this one, did you give me this for Christmas?
This was a Christmas present.
Because it was an upgrade, and so easy Christmas present, right?
Can't go too wrong with that.
This one also is a casting device.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I like to watch shows on Netflix or Disney Plus or something like that. And so I just cast them to here. It's got a great speaker and a bigger screen, and it's very convenient.
Absolutely. And also in the opposite way, it is a backup phone, because if our kids can't find their phone, which that's happened,
They can call from here.
they can just say, hey, Google, call mom, and it'll call mom, and there you go. Hopefully going through all the items we showed you there helps you think about how you can start to save money through home automation and scheduling and programming the devices at your house. We found with those items that we saved about 1/3 more on our power bill than we already were. So it does make a big difference in energy consumption and also cost. The big thing to think about is, especially if you're off grid, when you're on grid, it's great to save money on your power bill. When you're off grid, you only have so much electricity to work with in the first place.
Right.
So it's really
you have
about
to control it.
budgeting, and this allows you to control things so much better.
It's also, once you get used to it, super convenient.
Oh,
To be down in our room and, because we're lazy at night, we don't want to come up and check all the lights and the doors, so we get on our phone and check and see if everything has been locked up and turned off.
and even if we forget to do that at 11 o'clock, it shuts
Everything
all the
shuts
lights off and it locks the doors and turns the outside lights on. This is a good cue to our kids too, like, hey, if you're not in bed already, you should be.
Yeah.
If you were watching last week's episode, it was a new trailer that's going on our YouTube channel. And on that trailer, we mentioned that we have a new feature for our channel, which is the Hackometer. The Hackometer will help you guys see how good we think this life hack is. So this week's life hack is home automation. So we're going to show on a scale of 1 to 10 how healthy we think it is, scale of 1 to 10 how affordable, how clean, and how simple it is. We're going to do that for every life hack. So this week, let's run down our Hackometer score.
Healthy, we give that a 3. Other than reducing carbon emissions, there isn't a huge direct health benefit. If security elements are incorporated, there's a great peace of mind to know that you locked the doors and the outside lights have come on at night.
Affordability gets an 8. With LED technology, this will generally pay off in less than 3 months. Automation varies quite a bit more, mostly based on normal previous behaviors prior to installation. Are you typically the type of person who tends to leave lights on and unused appliances running? Or maybe you have teenagers, they leave everything on. Who can blame them? They're not really paying for the electric bill anyways.
Is it clean for the environment? We're going to give that an 8. 20% of electricity produced in the US is consumed by lighting. Additionally, a whopping 63% of electricity produced in the United States is from fossil fuels. If every household switched to LED bulbs and reduced electrical usage via automation, that would make a huge dent in the usage of carbon emissions.
Simplicity gets a 7. This one really depends on how much you choose to automate. We're so glad you joined us again this week. We hope that all the devices that we talked about get you started on doing some home automation and saving some money and saving some energy and helping the planet out.
And just be patient, because sometimes it can be a little frustrating on some of these, getting them installed or convincing some family members that it's a good thing to use. But like all new technology, eventually we get used to it and we don't know how we lived without it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.
You know, Nest, you're such a good listener. All day long it's Google, turn on this, Google, play that. Nobody has the time to listen.